And I think that as I write, autobiography is non-fiction, but it isn't really quite that. We each have an image of ourselves, of who we are, and an autobiography is a fictionalized description of ourselves because we pick and choose what we say and how we see ourselves. And the vision of an autobiography is just a series of facts, a series of occurrences, and a description of one thing happening after the other. That's really not the way I see that. I was intent on showing the ups and downs. I saw no value in just describing my life. And although, yes, that was the framework and the backbone of what I wrote, I tried very hard, and you can tell me better than I can to what extent I succeeded. I tried to show a reflection of life as it would apply during that time in a broader sense.
It was a historical linear. There's a lot of history there. Yeah.
Well, I happened to live through the history of the immigration, and that immigration certainly marked the rest of my life. And it did make me more open to the difficulties that people go through. And I have always, as I say in my choice of jobs, looked for more interaction with people than with machinery. I was a physical scientist, but the picture of my sitting in a laboratory room and not talking to people is not one that is accurate. Mm-hmm. I tried very hard to have human contact, and that was why I chose the particular job that I had, even though that was a little more difficult to get than the straight research jobs in government or private laboratories. So when you say there was, how do I see myself?
To me, it was like Forrest Gump. It was like Forrest Gump, though. Pre-World War II. How old are you now?
I'm 96.
96 years old. Pre-World War II, the 1920s, a Europe that's gone. World War II, a refugee. America in the 1950s and 60s. Education, as it's evolved in this country. You've been through a lot of it. You've lived a long life, and you've been very involved in this world. And I got a lot of history from the book.
Well, that's why I tried to write some of these things down. Not as, well, let's say partly as a progression of what life was like, certainly about the time in Vienna, which seemed so secure and then blew up in our faces, but also in the life of looking for a job in the educational systems, which largely failed me. I have these excellent memories of what I learned in high school in Vancouver, but the universities were not a good match, I went to several, and the educational system there was so flawed and so fragmented and so unresponsive to any human need that I felt I really listened and profited as I could, but had to put that education together in my own way.